bottle.
The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
It is very clear that the major combat operations were an enormous success. There have been very impressive things that have been accomplished.
So why did Donald Rumsfeld get the boot? We'll talk with the communications director at the Bush White House.
At this hour, both houses of Congress remain up for grabs as voters tell us they are dissatisfied with President Bush, the war, and the direction of the country.
Were they fair? Were they happy? We'll analyze the TV news election coverage.
I just want to know when you're going to charge someone with murder of a Midyat baby. Are you going to impanel the grand jury?
I do not discuss pending cases, nor does any other district attorney.
And a baby brutally killed in Boulder, Colorado. Guess who hasn't brought charges? DA Mary Lacey of John Mark Carr fame. Caution, you are about to enter the no-spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thank you for watching us tonight. Our condolences to the family and friends of Ed Bradley, who died today from leukemia. He was a broadcast giant at CBS and a very classy guy. Life and death in the culture war. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. You know, I've been covering the news in America for 30 years, and this Kansas situation is the worst thing I've ever seen. A doctor named George Tiller is operating a late-term abortion mill that will destroy a viable baby up until birthing for a mental health exception, which much of the time is an episode of simple depression experienced by the mother. Last night on this broadcast, pro-life advocates told us that Tiller injects poison into the baby's heart while it is still in the womb, then removes the dead baby and cremates it. We've not been able to confirm the cremation assertion, but a letter purported to be from Tiller himself describes the injection. Now, even if you're pro-choice, you must see the ramifications of this barbaric display. If we as a society allow an undefined mental health exception in late-term abortions, and babies can be killed for almost any reason, and in Kansas, hundreds, perhaps thousands of babies have been aborted by Dr. Tiller, the price, $5,000 each. Is this what we want in America? Is it? This is the kind of stuff that happened in Mao's China, Hitler's Germany, Stalin's Soviet Union. Americans cannot turn away from this, cannot ignore it. There should be thousands of people demonstrating outside Tiller's abortion clinic in Wichita. The new Attorney General in Kansas, Paul Morrison, says he might pursue the investigations into Tiller's late-term operations and also into the abortions of girls ages 10 to 15 that have not been reported to authorities in Kansas as required by law. Well, we hope Morrison does that, as this kind of stuff simply cannot be tolerated by a civilized society. America is in the middle of a very intense culture war where the lives of babies are at stake. This has nothing to do with reproductive rights or any other euphemism. This has to do with terminating the lives of viable babies because the mother wants to back out of the pregnancy in the late stages. If we allow this, America will no longer be a noble nation, a country that stands for human rights and protections of the innocent. If we allow Dr. George Tiller and his acolytes to continue, we can no longer pass judgment on any behavior by anybody. What Tiller is doing is that bad. And that's a memo. We'll have a report on a similar topic coming up. But first, the lead story tonight, the inside story of Donald Rumsfeld's resignation. Joining us from Washington, Dan Bartlett, counselor to President Bush. I'm sure you've heard from thousands of Republicans who say the same thing. Why didn't you do this in August or September? Why didn't you give yourself a better shot in the election?
Well, Bill, there are a lot of reasons why the election didn't go our way on Tuesday night, and I know many people believe that this might have been a small, important issue that might have made a difference in some of these elections. Hindsight's 20/20. But as the president said, Bill, and as you know, you can understand and appreciate, a commander-in-chief making such an important decision during a time of war, whether it be troop levels in Baghdad or the leadership at the Pentagon, I think most Americans would want their commander-in-chief to make these decisions devoid of campaign politics, to not sit here and calculate whether it would help a candidate or not. That's not the way you should conduct a war. The president made it very clear to his staff that he was not going to go through this process with a campaign in mind, but to do it based on why he felt was the right reason. And the right reason was that he feels, and so did Secretary Rumsfeld, that it was time for a fresh perspective, new eyeballs, as he said, on the problem we're facing both in Iraq and the broader war on terror. And he made the right decision, and I think the timing of that decision was right, too.
All right. Well, I disagree on the latter assertion, with all due respect, Counselor, because President Bush is weakened now. His leadership as commander-in-chief is weakened because he now has no control over the houses of Congress. Now, all the polls said, all the polls said that Americans were against the Iraq War based on performance, not ideology, on performance. And they wanted to see improvement in the situation. Now, removing the Secretary of Defense, and I'm not saying he should or shouldn't have been removed. I'm not making that. I don't have the information to make that assertion. I do not have it, okay? But removing him would have given the nation hope that a new direction, a new set of eyes, as you just put it, might have improved the situation. That could only have helped the president wage this war in Iraq.
Well, again, that's hindsight. And I will say this, Bill, I think in a perfect perspective, as you just presented it, that might be the case. But knowing the political environment we are living in these days, the highly charged media climate we're in, if the president were to make a statement like that or a decision like that in the final weeks of a campaign where everybody said that he was in a desperate position, it would have been portrayed just like that,
I
Bill,
understand
a desperate position. And I don't think it would have had a confidence-building measure among not only supporters of the war, or those who are looking for an improved strategy. I think they would see a commander-in-chief who was making a crassly political decision, and that's the last thing we want our president to do.
Yeah, but Mr. Bartlett, they're saying that today. They're saying that one day after you lose the election, you threw the guy overboard. You're getting the same kind of stuff.
Well, Bill, I heard that you had Dick Morris on last night claiming we dialed up Bob Gates the morning of the morning after the election and told him to get on a plane. That's ridiculous.
Well, I told Morris that was ridiculous.
You did, and I appreciate that because the president had met with him on the Sunday before the election. He had made this decision. It was going to happen regardless of whether Republicans or Democrats won that election, because he made the decision based on what you would hope he did, and that is what is best for the conduct of this war, not an election campaign.
When did you guys decide that Rumsfeld had to go? No spin.
Well,
when?
No spin. Well, the president, as he said in his own press conference, that this was a conversation over several weeks, in which not only with Secretary Rumsfeld,
when did you decide?
But with his staff. I mean, there's not well, he made the final decision on Tuesday, but he met with the candidate, Bob Gates, on Sunday, and I'm sure in his mind, once he felt comfortable that there was a credible candidate to replace Secretary Rumsfeld, that in his mind was probably a triggering moment. He had his final conversation with Secretary Rumsfeld on the day of the election.
All right. According to New York Daily News, the president misled the press because he didn't want to do what? Did he mislead the press, and what did he want to do?
Well, and I know I'm in the no-spin zone, but this is a difficult one, Bill. Every president is now put in this position in which every time he's confronted by a reporter, they're asked the same question.
Right.
Are you still have confidence for Don Rumsfeld? And the minute you say something different, it's like a Treasury Secretary being asked about the strong dollar. The minute he says something different, the markets go wild. The same thing would have happened here. It would have been the equivalent of a political earthquake if the president said he was contemplating a change.
Right.
And when he, in his own mind, hadn't made a final decision. So he gave the answer he did. Presidents have had to do this in the past when it comes to issues as sensitive as a personnel decision, particularly one as important as Secretary of Defense. It was the right decision then, and it was the right decision for Bob Gates being the new Secretary of Defense.
Mr. Bartley, we appreciate you taking the time, and I just want everybody to know, whether you like him or not, Donald Rumsfeld is a patriot. I want everybody to know
I agree with that.
And we would like you to vote in our new BillO'Reilly.com poll. Was removing Mr. Rumsfeld the right thing to do? Was removing the Secretary of Defense the right thing to do? Yes or no? BillO'Reilly.com. Next on the rundown, did the TV news people handle the election in a fair and balanced way, or did they gloat? Bernie Goldberg, Jane Hall, coming up.
If we take my Milan, you can just plug that right in.
Cool. Do you have directions to the meeting?
Yeah, they're right here. Mercury Milan has all the right stuff and the right size.
This is a lot cooler than our boss's car.
Don't tell her that.
Now lease the 2007 Mercury Milan for just $238 a month, and click on MercuryVehicles.com for more reasons why.
You've got to put Mercury on your list.
This fall,
We're in love with the same woman.
it's easy to flatter someone when you mean it.
the stories you want.
Don't listen to a thing my brother says.
6 nights a week.
He's not who I thought he was.
Never turn your back.
desire.
Happiness has a price.
I know.
Every guy's looking to go high def. Our pledge is to help you wow them with the ultimate system.
Like the latest from LG. LG TVs let you see and feel everything in true digital reality. Now save up to $300 when you buy an LG TV with any home theater installation. Only at Best Buy.
When your insurance is in sync, you can roll with anything, travelers.
Sent into the most hellish city on Earth to take down the world's most deadly terrorists. The fight for Fallujah made them heroes. This is their story. From the bravery and sacrifice to the families they left at home. It's a dramatic inside look you can't see anywhere else.
If they want to come, we'll bring it to them.
Sunday, John Scott hosts an explosive 2-hour special, Company of Heroes.
Trying to walk in the park, a little bit more boom booms.
Policing the press segment tonight. The ratings are in. Fox News Channel once again, the cable news champion on election night. CNN second, nobody else close. On the network side, ABC News won, NBC second, CBS third. Now, the Los Angeles Times reported today, quote, CNN enjoyed a rare ratings victory. Of course, that isn't true. The LA Times went on to cite a demographic category to cover its misleading headline. That kind of stuff happens all the time. It's why the LA Times is in dire trouble. Joining us now from Washington, Fox News media analyst Jane Hall, and from Miami, former CBS News correspondent Bernie Goldberg, author of the paperback book, 110 People Who Are Screwing Up America. You know, I was off on election night, and I'm glad, because I'm a blabbermouth, and they don't need that. They just need the facts. So, Bernie, did you see anybody do anything untoward?
You mean any gloating or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching Fox, and I saw no gloating on Fox.
Did you see what Alessandra Stanley at the New York Times said? A funereal atmosphere. Did you see that?
Yes, I did read that, and I think that there's a quota at the New York Times of taking cheap shots at Fox. I think they have to do it a certain number of times a week in order to maintain their reputation at the dinner parties on the Upper East Side.
Cocktail party cred.
But I do think this. Look, are reporters, mainstream reporters, happy that the Republicans lost? Of course, everybody knows that. But if there were gloating, we would be hearing about it from conservatives, and we're not hearing about it from conservatives because this week conservatives are angry at Republicans for selling out their principles and beating themselves. Next week, it'll be a media thing. This week, conservatives are angry at their Republican people for just beating themselves in this election.
All right, Jane, did you see anything egregious in the coverage?
Not egregious, but I saw a couple of things I thought were interesting. One was that on the day before the election, the Pew poll came out and said that the Republicans were narrowing their lead. And a lot of people in the media on the evening newscast that night had to sort of back off of what I think was basically a prediction that the Dems were going to win and win big. So in a way, they dodged something of a bullet on that one. I also think to spin the other way on Fox and Bill Bennett on CNN about how actually the Republicans didn't lose and we've now got conservative Democrats who won. And yet on this network, Ann Coulter was saying, oh, no, they're really crazy and they're just not showing their true colors. I think that is sour grapes.
Look, you got to separate personnel that work for Fox from the guests' contention. I mean,
no, but the commentators.
When Alessandra Stanley, the far-left television writer for the New York Times, said there was a funereal atmosphere among Brit Hume and his cohorts on election eve. Did you see that, Jane?
I did not see that among those guys. I think I've seen Sean Hannity look pretty funereal.
But
and
again,
say that,
Hannity wasn't on.
Okay,
He's not a member of the election team. Like me, he's a commentator. So I watched our coverage, and I didn't see any funereal.
I think the commentators have been spinning it. I will say, I think the point of her piece was more about how the punditry was primarily male. She took a shot at Tom Brokaw and Tim Russert and CNN. I agree with Bernie. I don't particularly care for the quota of cheap shots at Fox News. I don't think it was valid about the news reporting on Fox News. I think the spinning by commentators is getting pretty crazy.
You know what bothered me, Bernie? All the softball interviews of Nancy Pelosi that came after the Democrat victory. Now, I'm not saying you should go after her throat, but surely when you have the person second in line for the presidency, and she's the most liberal Speaker of the House in the history of the country, surely you might want to get into a little bit about how she formed her point of view, or am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. Let's put it this way. Do you think Newt Gingrich would have gotten the same treatment as Nancy Pelosi got? Look, I mean, the bias is never blatant, but they like Nancy Pelosi. They like the fact that the Democrats won, and she's a woman, the first woman who's going to be Speaker of the House, so they treat her with a certain respect, which they should, that they wouldn't treat a conservative, a Republican. By the way, on the Alexandra Stanley thing in the New York Times, I don't need a piece on feminism the day after the election. I mean, why do I need that? Or 2 days after the election?
I think she was trying to make a point about punditry being still male-dominated and the anchors still being primarily male. I will say one thing. I think Pelosi got very favorable honeymoon coverage.
Yeah.
George W. Bush, people forget, got a lot of wonderful coverage when he was first running and when he was first elected about the dynasty, the family values, what a great governor he had been.
Why did they do that, though? I don't think anybody should be
in love with somebody. Well, they're in love with somebody. I mean,
Why?
I think Margaret Warner, actually, on the NewsHour, was asking her, basically, is she going to have investigations? Is she going to hold hearings?
That's what we asked.
And that's what she should be being asked, among other things.
What are you going to do? And I want to know how Nancy Pelosi really thinks and how she got to that
Bill,
point.
you've been after her on this San Francisco values
You
thing.
bet.
I mean, yeah,
You
but
bet.
what does that
Jane,
mean
you want homeless
exactly?
people sleeping outside your front door?
Hey, Bill, let me ask you this. Do you think your interview, if you had an interview with Nancy Pelosi, would be the same as Katie Couric's interview with Nancy Pelosi?
Well,
I mean, of course it wouldn't. One would be a real interview, and the other would be a coronation.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, I understand that network news wants access above all, and that's what they do. And then we, of course, are obnoxious and contentious. Hey, it's always good to see you guys, Jane and Bernie. Thank you. And by the way, the Factors post-election coverage last night, I just want to tell you this, wiped out all our cable news competition. We won by more than 500,000 viewers over our closest competitor all night long. That's astounding, and we thank you all very much. Upcoming Investors Business Daily says terrorists are happy the Democrats won. Is that true? And later, a baby brutally killed in Boulder, Colorado. Once again, Mary Lacey could be asleep at the wheel moments away.
If you're concerned about catching a cold or the flu this season, here's an idea. Move to a deserted island and avoid other people for 6 months. Or just drink a glass of Florida orange juice every day.
Give your immune system the nutrients it needs.
Let's kick the tires and light the fire.
Woo! They got a lock on me. I'm punching out.
Like a video game, but deadlier. Dogfights, the new series. On the History Channel. Check your local listing.
Every time.
At Nissan, we decided to create a new version of a classic, the Nissan Maxima. With 255 horsepower and CVT technology, the Nissan Maxima redefined performance. With available Bluetooth, hands-free capability, and the intelligent key, it reinvented convenience. The next generation of Nissan thinking in the next Nissan Maxima.
Can't talk now.
He's gone.
Busy! I can't get that. I'm in the zone over here. Yeah.
You know how FedEx helped us with all our shipping needs? Overnight, ground, even the heavy stuff. And with fast, reliable deliveries and flexible pickups, I don't think Scott's gotten used to not being so busy.
Worky work, busy bee!
Grow your business with customized shipping solutions from FedEx.
This is great. Cheerios?
Grandma said they make good hearts.
Come here.
You can eat it.
Let's just keep this forever. For every heart. Cheerios. Look for 5 free celebrated books, 1 inside specially marked boxes of Cheerios.
The biggest RV sale of the year is here. The 48th Annual Portland Metro RV Show, November 8th through November 12th at the Expo Center. Save thousands with special incentives on new 2006 RVs. Take advantage of the best deals available in the Northwest on a great selection of new and pre-owned RVs. Don't miss out on special show prices, low interest rates, and long-term financing. The Portland Metro RV Show, November 8th through November 12th at the Expo Center. Just imagine where it might lead.
Not long ago, cable didn't even exist. Now, cable brings us new, innovative fiber optic technology each day, not each decade.
Impact segment tonight, a number of conservative publications are saying the terrorists are happy the Democrats won the election. Wow. Joining us from Burlington, Vermont, syndicated columnist Mark Stein, the author of the best-selling book, America Alone, The End of the World as We Know It. Now, we've been saying for months that the terrorists were going to try to influence the election by stepping up the violence in Iraq and trying to give the impression that it was out of control. Now, I think nobody can disagree with that. That's true. But is it fair to say that the terrorists wanted the Democrats to win?
I think they wanted to pull a Spain, and they were very clever in how they did it. They knew that, for example, if they blew up a bunch of subway trains like they did in Madrid, that would just have people stampeding into the national security booths for the Republicans. But I think they understood that the slow torture of the drip, drip, drip of just small, remorseless pieces of violence in a thankless policing operation would actually grind down American will. So I think it's horses for courses. They pulled a Spain, but they targeted it very specifically.
Okay, but why though? Why do they hate Bush that much? Is it that personal?
No, I think they've made a bet, though, that the Islamists have made a bet that essentially America is a puffed-up superpower. It's got all the tanks, it's got all the planes, it's got all the bombs, but that doesn't make any difference if it hasn't got the will. In other words, if it's not in it for the long haul. And in a sense, this election confirms their view of that. So in that sense, I do think...
So what you're saying, then, is that the jihadists believe that Bush is a more determined terror warrior than the Democratic hierarchy.
Yes, they believe that this is a particular situation arising from Bush and the character of the men around him. And it's not just the Democrats. You know, large numbers of Republicans effectively checked out of the war on Tuesday, too, certainly in my state of New Hampshire.
But why? And, that's true. But if the war in Iraq isn't going well, and that's an if, I'm saying, if it's not going well and the jihadists are gaining ground there and doing what they want to do, why would they want a change? Why wouldn't they say, gee, we want the commander who's not winning the war?
Well, because it is going well in Iraq in the sense that thousands of the enemy are being killed. They have no strategy in Iraq. When they blow up, you know, a few dozen Muslims in a shopping market in Baghdad, faithful Muslims, they're doing that only to pressure the real point of weakness, which is the home front here in the United States. They understand they can't win in the Sunni triangle. They can only win with American public opinion.
Well, that's almost like the Vietnamese knew they couldn't defeat the army of the United States, but tried to break the will back home. It's almost the same thing. However, just like the Vietnamese, it doesn't look to me like the Iraqi people are going to step up and put their lives on the line for democracy, because there's a big difference about how they're behaving in Iraq and how the Afghanis are behaving. You don't see the Afghanis blowing each other up or drilling holes in each other's head. So it doesn't look to me at this juncture in history like the Iraqis are committed to doing what they have to do to have liberty.
No, and I do agree with you on that, although large segments of the Iraqi population have behaved very well. But the reality is, Bill, that anything that comes out of Iraq looking like a defeat, including this, you know, Jack Murtha's redeployment to Okinawa or whatever, will be seen around the world as part of a pattern of behavior. It's getting an awful long time since this country unambiguously won a war. It's 60 years.
But I don't know if it's possible to win a war in Iraq if the population of Iraq is not going to cooperate and they're not.
Well, I don't think that's true. The real question is whether the population of the United States is going to cooperate. You know, there's something very immature about all this when people say, are you for or against the war? Once you're in it, that's not the question. The question when you're in it is whether you want to win it or whether you want to lose it.
We see whether you can win it. And we couldn't have terrorism here in the USA because seeing anybody making a bomb or call the police. They're not doing it in Iraq. And that's what we need. We need the population to turn on the terrorists. I'll give you the last word.
Yes, and I agree with that, but that takes time. You know, the British fought a successful anti-insurgency campaign in Malaysia. They didn't win it overnight, but they found the strategy and they won it. And that's what you have to do here, because defeat will only cause problems for the American moment.
You bet. And if we don't beat them there, we're going to have to beat them somewhere else, and that's Iran leading the way. Mr. Stein, thanks very much. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves along this evening. Britney Spears loses a lawsuit. This one is interesting. It has to do with her public image. And the brutal death of a baby in Boulder, Colorado so far. No charges. Is DA Mary Lacy blowing another case?
When my husband got hurt and missed all that work, I didn't know how we were going to get by. Luckily, Aflac was there to pitch in. Aflac gave us the cash we needed to help pay for some of the stuff that health insurance doesn't. Hey, Jane. Like groceries, car maintenance, even gasoline. When things happen, it's nice to know Aflac's there for you.
The female duck swims near.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Aflac.
Houdini the magician escaped from handcuffs in 3 seconds. Houdini the corkscrew opens a wine bottle in 3 seconds. Houdini the magician escaped from an underwater trunk. Presto. Houdini the corkscrew ejects the cork. Presto. Houdini the magician was locked in a straitjacket high over the city and escaped. Houdini the corkscrew was tested for 20,000 cork pulls and never failed. The Houdini corkscrew by Metro Cane.
Singer, performer, innovator. After 25 years, Sarah Brightman is the diva. Inside my mind. Discover the best-selling soprano of all time with her most supreme musical collections ever. Sarah Brightman Diva, the singles collection on CD, and Diva, the video collection on DVD. Call now to order these new must-have collections from Sarah Brightman. Order Sarah Brightman Diva, the singles collection on CD, or Diva, the video collection on DVD, featuring all her best-loved hits. Relive the raw emotion of this once-in-a-lifetime performer. This career-spanning CD and video anthology DVD have it all. For the first time ever, you get all of Sarah Brightman's world-class performances on CD or DVD. Order Sarah Brightman Diva on CD or DVD for $18.98 plus $4.95 shipping and handling. Or order online at TVAtlas.com. Rush delivery available.
Factor Outrage of the Week segment tonight. More evidence that babies are not being protected in the USA, as we pointed out in the Talking Points memo. In Boulder County, Colorado, a 10-week-old baby named Jason Midyet was brutally killed by somebody. His injuries were horrific. Skull fracture, 2 broken legs, on and on. That happened last February, but so far no charges have been brought by Boulder DA Mary Lacy, the woman who embarrassed Colorado in the John Mark Carr, John Benet Ramsey case. Factor producer Jesse Waters confronted Miss Lacy.
The coroner ruled it a homicide months ago.
We do not discuss pending cases with anyone.
Are you gun shy because of what happened with John Mark Carr?
Please leave my premises.
The forensic pathologist said it was the victim of repeated and deliberate child abuse.
You need to leave my premises now. Do you understand?
Are you going to impanel the grand jury?
I do not discuss pending cases, nor does any other district attorney.
Thank you.
And with us now, Dr. Michael Bodden, a forensic pathologist, I should say, who examined the baby's autopsy and other medical records. So this is one of the worst baby killings that we've ever seen. Tell the audience what happened to the little child.
Yeah, this child was beaten up for the 4 or 5 weeks before he died and suffered 28 separate individual fractures in various healing stages. There was no request of medical assistance. The only two people with the child, the only people who had exclusive opportunity to cause all these injuries and fractures and brain damage as well, were the parents.
Yeah, that's Alex Midyet, 26, and Molly Midyet, 27. Now, even if they didn't do it, they certainly knew the child was in distress. They had to know that. The child was in their charge. Yet, this happened in February. It is now November, and there have no charges been lodged against these people, and nobody even knows where they are.
Yeah, I think this is an outrageous case because the physicians at the hospital where the baby was brought and the medical examiner did the autopsy, Dr. Meyer, did a super job in trying to help the baby, in documenting the injuries, in getting all kinds of consultations on could this in any way have been genetic or natural. Everybody agreed that this was a battered child, severely battered, and that it had been going on for weeks. This is like torture.
What was the cause of death?
The cause of death were the multiple fractures and brain of all the bones of the arms, legs, and skull, and brain damage with hemorrhage around the brain and swelling of the brain.
10 weeks old.
10 weeks old, and this was going on at least for the last 4 weeks of the baby's life. And the parents not only didn't provide help or medical care for the child, but they also obstructed any kind of information or investigation when the baby came to the hospital.
Now, apparently the parents have hired separate attorneys, which tells me they're going to turn on each other, almost like the case here in New York City with Joel Steinberg, which you know very well.
Yes.
But I don't understand Mary Lacy. I don't get this woman. We walked up, we've been asking and asking and asking what the status of the case is, and she says she can't talk about it. That's bull. She can bring up any status and go out to the press and tell the press where it is. She refuses to do that. What does that tell you?
I think combined with the car business, it sounds like they have a dysfunctional kind of district attorney situation there presently, because this is a classic case that charges could have been brought immediately in February when the baby was brought to the hospital. She didn't have to wait for the autopsy report or for further investigations. The baby was reported to the police on day one when it came to the hospital in February as a battered child. And most district attorneys would immediately investigate and try to protect the child, make sure the child doesn't go back to its same environment. And in this instance, everybody's waiting, and the longer she waits, the harder the case becomes.
Right, because these people have split. But they can get them, I assume, but they have attorneys. Well, Lacey's got a lot to answer for. Once again, this child, nobody's looking out for it, 10 weeks old. The parents, Alex Midyet and Molly Midyet, and they better be charged. And Miss Lacey, they better be charged, or we're going to have to camp out in front of your house.
They're the only ones who had opportunity to do it.
Yeah, nobody's reporting the story either, except for us, but we'll get it done. When we come back, another controversial child predator sting. A Texas law enforcement official suspected of soliciting sex with a 13-year-old boy commits suicide. That's next.
From America's Newsroom, I'm Harris Faulkner. President Bush meeting with Mexico's president-elect, talking about trade and another hot issue. Fox News national correspondent Steve Santani reports.
With control of Congress changing hands, there's at least one issue the White House and Capitol Hill could agree on without too much difficulty, and that's immigration. President Bush met with Mexico's president-elect Felipe Calderon at the White House today. They talked about a variety of issues, including free trade, economic growth, and drug smuggling.
And we talked, of course, about migration. And I assured the president-elect that the words I said in the very Oval Office that we sit about a comprehensive immigration vision are words I still believe strongly.
The president's plan for comprehensive immigration reform includes a guest worker program and a pathway to citizenship for some of those already in the states illegally. President-elect Calderon says the ultimate solution to the problem is creating higher-paying jobs in Mexico, and that, he says, will hinge on increased investments. Many Republicans and most Democrats support President Bush's immigration plan, and now with a new balance of power in Congress, many believe comprehensive immigration reform is just around the corner. In Washington, Steve Santani, Fox News.
Next news break at the top of the hour, the O'Reilly Factor returns.
Disciplined investing. It's not about following the crowd. At T. Rowe Price, our independent research means we're not deceived by every market ripple, and we don't chase every fad. For each 1, 5, and 10-year period, over 70% of our mutual funds beat their Lipper average. Low-cost mutual funds from T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence. Request a complete prospectus or profile with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read and consider carefully before investing.
5,000 air raids, 10,000 surgeries, 30,000 martinis. Own all 11 seasons of MASH. Plus hours of exclusive bonus material in one incredible collector's set.
Why can't I stay mad at you two lugs? We'll work something out.
Relive every unforgettable episode. MASH, the complete collection. Available on DVD today.
They should call me Mr. Points. I have so many. I just got upgraded.
They're the best. I got a cordless drill with some of my points.
Really?
Yeah.
I got these golf clubs.
Those are gorgeous.
They're made of gold.
Wow, that's terrific. I got a unicycle for my son.
Oh, yeah?
So much fun.
What is he, a clown or something?
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
Good for him.
I don't have any points, so.
That makes it harder to redeem them.
It sure does. I'm thinking about getting a 10-gallon hat. Maybe some nunchucks.
Here's some great health news from Smart Balance. New delicious Smart Balance Omega Foods. Omega Plus buttery spread with natural plant sterols and omega-3 from the sea. Smart Balance peanut butter with 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s per serving. Omega Plus light mayonnaise and omega cooking oil. They give you more omega-3s with no hydrogenation and no trans fat naturally. Smart Balance Omega Foods. So important, and you're gonna love them.
My souvenir from this trip? Back pain. Went from bad to worse. But now I wear this Thermacare heat wrap for 8 hours of heat and 16 hours of relief. 16 hours! I could use these every day. And now Thermacare is sponsoring an amazing road trip sweepstakes. Design a dream vacation and win a new Mercedes SUV. Hotel, food, gas, it's all included. So check out Thermacare.com and enter to win. Thermacare. Have heat, we'll travel.
The #1 show that dominates cable news, The O'Reilly Factor.
Next to stay with us, Bill O'Reilly in the Factor follow-up segment tonight. Last Sunday, 56-year-old Louis Conrad, an assistant DA for Rockwall County in Texas, shot himself to death after police showed up looking to arrest him. Apparently, Conrad was caught in a sting set up by the Perverted Justice Organization in association with NBC News. The allegation was that Conrad had tried to solicit sex with a 13-year-old boy over the internet. Now, after the suicide, there was a huge outcry in the community. Joining us now from Portland, Oregon, Xavier Von Erck, the head of PervertedJustice.com. And from Dallas, the mayor of Murphy, Texas, near where the suicide took place, Brett Baldwin. Mayor Baldwin, your police department partnered up with Perverted Justice and NBC, and you are angry about that? What?
I am upset about that. I mean, we have a quiet residential neighborhood, and you know, we obviously we're a very family-oriented community, and we pride ourselves in maintaining the safety of our children, and we support the police department. But in this instance, I am upset about it because I feel that the sting operation did not need to occur. Fortunately, Texas, we have the most stringent laws on the books as far as internet solicitation, and basically, just by the internet solicitation alone and the data collected by the Perverted Justice people, they have enough information to actually issue the warrants, and those can be served at the individual's homes.
But that's what they were doing. They were serving the warrants, and then it was, you know, the usual. If you when perverted
in
justice.
this situation,
go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, in this situation with the district attorney, that is what they were doing.
Yeah, the cops were bringing, serving the guy.
Right.
The guy saw them coming. He barricaded the door, destroyed his hard drive, and shot himself in the head. So what do you think was wrong with that?
Well, what was wrong with it is, in addition to that portion of the situation, is we had a sting operation going on in one of our residential neighborhoods where the Perverted Justice and Dateline had set up a sting operation where they were bringing people in from all over the place, from as far away as Houston and Louisiana.
That was the meeting point, but that was only, so that's what you object to. You object to them having your town as the meeting point. You don't object to how the alleged perpetrator was served with the warrant. You don't object to that.
Well, not in that case, but what I guess the point I'm trying to make is what I object to is these people did not need to be brought to our town.
I got it.
Just the fact that they had been on the internet and committed the crime already, these could have been served at their homes. They did not need to come to Murphy, Texas.
Xavier, you want to reply to that?
Yeah, it's patently untrue. The vast majority of internet predators will not say to a decoy, hey, I live at such and such address on such and such street in such and such town. It shows intent, and it shows the fact that they actually did the crime themselves for them to come to a central location to be arrested. In a lot of cases, predators will not give you enough information without showing up to actually know where they live. The mayor himself is not a law enforcement official, and he actually is against his law enforcement doing things in that town at all. In July, we had 4 arrests in Murphy, Texas, and the mayor was against it. And that was without Dateline NBC, and that was without a house being used. The mayor has called a special city council meeting in his town on the 11th, this Saturday, where he wants to try to get the police chief and the city manager fired for having sex predators arrested. And then he comes on here and spins and says that he's not against his local police for doing this. I call shenanigans.
All right, Mayor, you want to reply?
Yeah, I am against our local police for doing this because it didn't need to happen in this residential community. They paraded them through a community in the heart of our town where there were children out playing. It happened to be happened on a Thursday. Happened to be on a Thursday where the kids were out half day at school for middle school, and they were out at school on Friday. So there were kids out in the neighborhood, and these people were parading this type of individuals who are preying on children through our neighborhood. True, I think it makes a stronger case. I think it makes a stronger case if you can lure them somewhere, but it's not necessary in order to prosecute them.
No, that's true. But if you can up the count, you get a predator put away for a longer period of time. Now, Xavier, what did you say wasn't true?
No, it doesn't.
What's not true is the fact that
it doesn't change.
Well, Mayor, let Xavier reply. Go ahead.
What's not true is he's stating that children were playing all throughout the neighborhood. First off, Mayor Baldwin was not in that neighborhood during the sting operation. We were. Unfortunately, on the Saturday of the sting operation, parents from across the street, concerned about their property values, had taken their children and tried to parade them around during an undercover police operation in order to try to make themselves a nuisance to the police. And Mayor Baldwin, instead of being against that sort of activity, is instead against his own police force. He's trying to throw the police chief and his police force under the bus.
Right. Well, let that.
Predators.
Now, Xavier, do you feel any guilt at all, or do you feel bad this guy committed suicide?
I didn't want him to commit suicide, obviously, because we like to get every conviction possible. And unfortunately, in this case, we won't be able to get a conviction on him.
How bad was this guy?
He took the easy way out. He was really bad. He sent pornography. He solicited sexually, in a very hardcore way, what he thought was a 13-year-old boy. And while the police were there trying to serve the arrest warrant, he was actively destroying evidence.
Now, Mayor, were you shocked that a officer of the court, assistant DA in the county, would be doing this kind of stuff?
Well, I don't know that I would be shocked. I think people from all walks of life engage in this type of activity, so I mean, it could be anybody.
Did you know this guy?
I didn't. No, there's been a rumor going around out that since we were both in politics that somehow we knew each other, and no, I'd never met him and knew nothing of him.
We'll let the audience decide the case. This stuff is very emotionally loaded, that's for sure. Gentlemen, thanks very much. In a moment, Britney Spears not having a good week. Singer's getting divorced, and now a judge in L.A. has thrown out a lawsuit that she filed against Us Weekly magazine. Very interesting legal decision made here. Wait till you hear it. That's next as The Factor continues all across the USA and all around the world.
Because Fox is where the news is.
Your license says you're 55. You look 45. But your osteoarthritis pain makes you feel 105. You're only 43. But chronic back pain makes you feel 93. There's been a lot of news lately about some medications for chronic pain. But there are different options your doctor can prescribe, including some that work around the clock. To learn more, call 1-800-275-9885 or visit paininformationcenter.com. It is possible to have more active days and more restful nights. So call or visit paininformationcenter.com to find a personal pain profiler that can help you and your doctor evaluate your pain. You may be 57, but age is just a number.
Do you have friends in New York?
Yeah.
What home phone service do you use?
Comcast, definitely. I get unlimited calling in the U.S. and Canada. All my favorite calling features.
Voicemail notifies me online.
It works on the phones I already have.
I got to keep my phone number.
And we only pay $33 a month for the whole year. Oh, I can call Canada as much as I want.
Can you say Comcastic in Canadian?
It's Comcastic, eh?
Call today for the Gold Delta Sky Miles credit card from American Express and start earning double miles in more places more often. Apply now and get 17,500 bonus miles right away. With award tickets starting at just 25,000 miles, you can fly free sooner. Plus, the card is fee-free the first year. Call 1-800-SKY-MILES. Call now for the Gold Delta Sky Miles credit card and earn 2 miles for every eligible dollar you spend for even faster travel awards on Delta and 18 airline partners. Take advantage of this great offer today and get 17,500 miles closer to a free trip. Plus, enjoy the card fee-free the first year. Call 1-800-SKY-MILES now.
Everybody knows it's my buddy and me. He's there everywhere I go, always there for me.
The new Littermate Elite Self-Cleaning Litter Box means less time cleaning and more quality time with your best friends. Plus new innovations like an ionic air cleaner to safely clean away odor and a sleep timer for nighttime use. See the full range of Littermate products where you buy your pet supplies.
Everybody knows it's my buddy and me.
Littermate, clean enough for your cat.
Back in the book segment tonight, 24-year-old pop star Britney Spears is the subject of much tabloid reporting. As you know, apparently she's getting divorced from her husband, Kevin Federline. And on Monday, a defamation lawsuit she filed was thrown out in Los Angeles. Ms. Spears had sued Us Weekly magazine, publishing an article about a rumored sex tape she made with Mr. Federline. Ms. Spears is asking $10 million in damages, but Judge Lisa Hart Cole threw the case out, saying Spears actively fosters a sexual image. Joining us now to analyze the situation, attorney Kimberly Lerner. I was pretty surprised by this because she didn't rule on whether there was any truth in the Us magazine report at all. She just said, listen, Brittany, I think you're a tart, so get out of town. Is that a legal decision that we should admire?
It was the right decision, Bill. In order for the plaintiff to come forward, she has to put on a prima facie case. She has to prove that something was disseminated, a falsehood was disseminated to a third party, and that she had damages. Well, the judge looked at this and said, you profit from your sexuality. You French kiss Madonna, you pose, nude, you make your sexuality part of how you market yourself. You have no damages. There was no damage to your reputation.
But should the judge make that decision? Now, let me play Britney Spears' attorney here. Okay, everything you said was true. Miss Spears traffics in a lascivious image, all right?
Yes.
That's what she does, and she can't deny it. However, does that give Us Magazine the right to say the woman did something, all right, with her husband,
Right.
that isn't provable, nobody knows whether that's true or not, and reacted a certain way after she did it? If that's not true, if Us Magazine made it up or had wrong information, aren't they liable to her if she can show the jury that she was harmed in some way?
Well, there are two issues here. This was a tape of consensual sex.
But we don't know there was a tape.
If there was a tape.
Right.
The allegation is there was a tape of consensual sex.
But nobody has seen the tape.
Between husband and wife. That in and of itself is not defamatory. How is that going to injure her reputation?
Because if there was no tape, all right, if there isn't a tape and the publication made it up or got bad information and said there was, that's untrue, and that can negatively influence a person, married or not.
Well, she would have to prove damages.
Yeah, I'm saying, well, why don't the jury? Let the jury do. Why should this judge say, just because you're a tart, or I think you are, you don't have a right for a fair hearing in front of a jury?
Bill, the answer is because she's a celebrity. There's an additional element that she would need to prove, and that's actual malice. That Us Weekly magazine knew it was false.
Well, maybe she can prove that.
Or they recklessly disregarded.
Maybe she can prove it. Why? See, here's my deal, because I'm a celebrity too.
Right.
All right? And I have no protection against any magazine saying anything about me, whether it's true or false. None. Because just as you said, I have to prove the magazine or the newspaper or the television commentator is acting maliciously. But I might be able to do that in front of a jury. But Miss Spears doesn't get the chance because the judge says, I don't like you. I don't like the way you flounce around.
I don't think the judge was saying, I don't like you. I don't think it's how you flounce around. I think the judge was saying, even if this is true, she has not been damaged.
How does the judge know? Maybe this has altered her, altered whatever. How does the judge know?
Bill, if this was 10 years ago and she was in her Justin Timberlake stage where she was claiming to be a virgin, we'd have a completely different issue to debate.
But the judge doesn't know whether it's damaged the woman.
Nobody thinks she's a virgin. She just had her second child. This is consensual sex between husband and wife. Nobody's shocked by this. Her reputation couldn't be injured. There's no way she can
I'm sure there's some grandma in Kansas who likes her, and then she's
And they're Britney Spears fans?
Maybe. I'm just saying to you, it strikes me as a judge should not be making decisions about defamation and based upon she doesn't like what she's doing on stage.
On the other hand, a judge cannot let frivolous lawsuits through. The amount of lawsuits filed, I mean, we would never get, no case would go to trial if the judge didn't weed cases like this out.
All right, Counselor, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Next, we'll wrap things up with the most ridiculous item and some of your mail.
Let's kick the tires and light the fire.
Woo! They got a lock on me. I'm punching out.
Like a video game, but deadlier. Dogfights, the new series. On the History Channel. Check your local listing.
Every time.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the gifting and selling and everyone telling you be of good cheer.
I know. Every guy's looking to go high def. Our pledge is to help you wow them with the ultimate system.
Like the latest from LG. LG TVs let you see and feel everything in true digital reality. Now save up to $300 when you buy an LG TV with any home theater installation. Only at Best Buy.
Golf free for the rest of your life on all of our executive courses. And enjoy free lifetime membership in all 8 of our country clubs, including the Arnold Palmer and Nancy Lopez signature courses. Enjoy the best active years of your life in the Villages. Log on to thevillages.com and order your free lifestyle video tour of the Villages today.
When you smile.
Printers and copiers so advanced, they're simple.
When you smile.
That's a reason to smile with Kyocera.
The whole world smiles with you.
Award-winning performance. Another reason to smile. Brilliant color. Low cost of ownership. And not just reliable, network reliable. New reasons everywhere you look. That's the power of people-friendly.
Only from Kyocera. Y'all ready to order?
Hey, 253 straight days at the gym to get this body, and you're not going to watch me on DirecTV HD? You're just not going to get the best picture out of some fancy big screen TV without DirecTV. It's broadcasting 1080i. I totally don't know what that means, but I want it.
For picture quality that beats cable, you've got to get DirecTV.
I always do my research on the web before I buy anything. So, check this out. CNET rated Vonage the #1 digital phone service. That was good enough for me.
Start saving up to $300 a year on your phone bill. It's just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long-distance calling. Vonage is a better way to phone for less.
Sign up now and get 1 month free. Call 1-888-840-4VON or go to Vonage.com or visit one of these fine retailers.
Time now for the most ridiculous item of the day. Last night I attended the annual benefit for the New York City chapter of Habitat for Humanity. One of those honored my pal Susan Sarandon. As you know, Miss Sarandon is a huge secular progressive, but unlike many Hollywood hyper-partisans, the woman does do a lot of charity work and deserves to be recognized for it. Now, I didn't want to ruin her evening, so I stayed away, but I badly wanted to show her page 160 of Culture Warrior, where there's a picture of me interviewing her in 1976. That alone is worth the price of Culture Warrior. Also, because of you guys buying stuff on BillO'Reilly.com, I was able to give Habitat a nice donation. All the money I received from the website goes to charity. And we have now opened up our Christmas Hanukkah store featuring a brand new line of Culture Warrior gear, including the famous doormat. See it? Culture Warrior. And you can check it out. This is great stuff. And you can give it to the SPs. You want to drive them nuts? Well, that. And let me know if it's ridiculous, all right? And finally tonight, the mail, dominated by the election in Donald Rumsfeld. Alex Strait, Iowa City. Let's see you try to spin the election results, Billy boy. Well, here's some advice, sir, because I am looking out for you. Put down the Kool-Aid and wise up. We spin nothing on this program. We say it straight, just like your last name. We scrutinize everyone who has power, and if you're not smart enough to recognize that, don't bother me. Cherry Hickson, College Station, Texas. I was a huge supporter of the Republican Party, but their lack of guts in passing tough legislation disgusted me. They deserve their thumping. Leo Kelly, Glen Burnie, Maryland. I am dumbfounded by Rumsfeld's resignation one day after the election. If he was replaced in September, the Republicans would have kept control. The move was Bush League. Donna Spriegel, Perry, Florida. Hey, Bill, it was a smart move to replace Rumsfeld at this time because now the Democrats have no excuse. If they don't make things better, they can't blame Rumsfeld. Consuelo Valdez Alonso, San Francisco. I wonder if Americans really know who Nancy Pelosi is. She's third in line for the presidency and is an extreme left-winger. Actually, third in line if you count the president. Now, polls show 50% of Americans have never heard of the Congresswoman, madam, and that is truly frightening. Kathy, I'm withholding a last name, Wichita, Kansas. I pray outside the horrendous clinic of Dr. George Tiller. I have seen hundreds of mothers pay this monster to abort their late-term babies. Tiller can hide behind his walls, but he can't hide from the factor. Larry Hataha, Lenexa, Kansas. Bill, I am glad you called the Kansas City Star out for being the ultra-liberal mouthpiece that it is. They are not upset by Tiller's operation. They're angry that you had the audacity to expose it. Tyler York, Manhattan, Kansas. Tiller needs to be held responsible for his actions while we Kansans are appreciative of yours, O'Reilly. Linda Cooper, Kansas City, Missouri. The new Attorney General, Paul Morrison, has publicly pledged to investigate Tiller. I clearly believe he will. Well, I hope you're right, Linda. Josh McGrath, Cambridge, England. Hey, Bill, love Culture Warrior. I'm a student at the University of Maryland and know firsthand how the secular progressives dominate higher education. You know, I did the third year abroad thing in England as well, Josh, so enjoy your time over there. And Angela Celia, northeastern Massachusetts. Bill, read Culture Warrior in 2 nights. I'm either an insomniac or the book is truly captivating. Well, I hope it's the latter, Angela. Thanks for reading CW. How about our website, www.foxnews.com/O'Reilly. Talking Points memo. If you tune in late, you want to download it or read it, there it is. Factor Gear. And how about emailing us with pithy comments from anywhere in the world, O'Reilly@foxnews.com, O'Reilly@foxnews.com. Name and town. If you wish to opine, please do not be a popinjay. Leave that to the SP Corps. A lot of SPs are popinjays, not many traditionalists are. That is it for us today. Thanks for watching The Factor. Please listen to Radio Factor. Check out BillO'Reilly.com. I have just filed my new column. It's all about Rumsfeld and Bush and all of that stuff. Also, If you buy Culture Warrior on BillO'Reilly.com, my publisher sends one to the Truth.